Hey everybody, and welcome back to the 10th episode of Kaylin's Lens. I think just even saying 10th episode is just insane to just say out loud. I cannot wait for this episode, but before we get into this episode, I just want to start by saying this journey over the past 10 weeks has been incredible so far. And for me, this is only the beginning. I think it's incredible that I'm able to give a platform, be given a platform to speak about some really hard issues that I feel like a lot of people are facing right now, especially being at like uni and everything in terms of the struggles and the pressures that life is hitting. And I'm really fortunate that I have the ability to just speak about it honestly, truthfully, and how I'm really just like living it at uni, living life. I'm so blessed and I cannot imagine what the future really has for me. But I'm meeting it a lot with discipline, a lot with grit, and a lot of passion at the same time. I just hope that every lesson that you get from this episode, episodes before and episodes beyond, stay within you, stay ingrained, and the lessons begin incorporated. Just a quick reminder before we get into this week's episode, though. 65% of you that are listening are not subscribed. So if you wouldn't mind doing me a little quick favor and just hitting the subscribe button or the follow button on whatever platform you're listening to, just know it helps me so much and helps me able to deliver so much more content. This episode, I feel, will help absolutely anyone who wants to redefine what success actually means and what it really takes to be successful in your own right, but also how to stay human whilst you're achieving and chasing all of these big dreams and big goals. All the lessons I've learned over the past few years from Emma Grede, Stephen Bartlett, and Mel Robbins, and even Kim K, are all going to be shared in intricate parts of this week's episode. This episode is about how I apply those knowledges and that learning experience to uni life. But it can also be used for every other part of your life, your job, if you're an adult and you're further along in your career, or even if you're in A levels and you're considering what options I want to pick for university, or where do I want to see myself in the next year? Where do I see myself either at uni or on an apprenticeship? Every lesson about success can be redefined within this week's episode. So let's begin. Law school taught me how to hustle, but it nearly made me forget how to be human. It taught me to adopt a no excuse mentality, how deadlines don't actually care about anything that is going on in your personal life, and that you have to deliver regardless of whatever's happening. I really feel like that lesson was so clearly shown in a recent episode of the Kardashians that I seen a snippet of where Kim's referring to that she had like a hit on her life and how with that hit, her entire life basically had to continue. Like she still had to go to law school, she still had to run skims and all her businesses. And that clearly shows that regardless of a personal or real personal thing that's going on, deadlines do not care about how you feel or what is going on, but you have to learn how to optimize every part of your week to make sure that you achieve every deadline that you have. Whether that be reading academic writings between going to seminars, listening to a podcast whilst you're on the tube, making notes on different certain elements of your life in the odd week, planning your weekly schedule, meditating, planning when you're going to go to the gym, doing a weekly food shop. How you use your hours and how you use them is what allows you to do successful things. Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day, but it's what you do with those 24 hours that changes everything. Having that mindset teaches you resilience. It teaches you when you finish a 12-hour study day that you can still have a 9 to 5 shift the next day. And developing the capacity to keep going is that you didn't know existed. You didn't know that you had that capacity unless you had the resilience, you created that discipline, and you built a life where you feel lived. I quickly learned that opportunities in law are key trade offs because if you don't show up, someone else will get that place before you. And that drove me to hustle harder. You have to attend the events. You have to do the applications. You have to make sure that absolutely everything you are wanting to do and achieve in life is aligned with who you are. that that career that you are wanting to pursue is where you want to be, is what you want to do. And don't get me wrong, you can change career paths in the future, but right now is essential. What you are wanting to do now is everything. Having that hustle equals achievements. Having that hustle lands you interviews, gets you offers, and moments where if you weren't disciplined, you wouldn't be able to have that. And where discipline translates directly into visible progress. If you wasn't having that drive and that passion and that energy, you would be lost. I went through that during my first year at uni. I was completely lost. I didn't have a drive, I didn't have a passion. I didn't even think law was for me. I got to the point where I was like, is this really the degree I want to be pursuing? Or do I just want to book a one-way flight to New York and never come back? That was really what was going on in my mind. I was like, I could do this, and do I actually love it? Do I like it? And do I not? And if I don't, what else is there out there for me to do? What do I want to do? But the thing that made me reconnect back to law was the human side. It was the times where I wasn't acting as a checklist machine. And it was the times where I could enjoy myself and be who I wanted to be and do the things that allowed me to have social time and do the things that allowed me to have friendships and relationships and dance and cook meals and go to the gym and do the things that fulfill me, that made me realize that I can have all of that and not lose it by pursuing a career that I actually get enjoyment by. A career that I am so interested within. A career that gives me passion. A career that makes me hungry for more to drive change within society. A career that I want to help big businesses, whether that be in a merger with another big business, whether that be a business coming into the stock market through an IPO, whether that be a business, going private and selling. I want to be in that center point. I want to be doing those things in a merger and an acquisition. And having that ability to realize that I love that, I feel that, that creates a sense of happiness within me, changed absolutely everything about my trajectory. Because I realized that being successful and having the things and doing the things that allows me to get to that position doesn't erode my relationships, doesn't erode my joy. It was just emptiness being dressed up in achievement. So what I did is I started purpose checking. I started auditing every ounce of my life and asking myself, why am I doing that task? And whether it aligns with who I want to become. And if it isn't, I simply don't do it. I say no. Because saying no is the most powerful thing you can do. Being a people pleaser is utterly awful. I was such a people pleaser during first year. I was trying to do everything for everyone and realised I never gave the time for myself. I never did that time where I could just be who I wanted to be. By myself, in my own bubble, surrounded by myself. And it wasn't until that loneliness paradox that I realised that I am much more than that. That I have this hunger of balancing a law school career, balancing a future, balancing applications, balancing a job, doing all of that was what I wanted to do alongside every other thing that I wanted to achieve in my personal life. And making those conscious decisions to audit my hours down to the T, audit the tasks that I'm doing, it didn't mean I stopped hustling whatsoever. It just meant I was hustling with more clarity, allowed myself to preserve the parts of my life that made the grind worth it. Preserve friendships and family relationships. Dig inwards and have deeper conversations with my aunt that I hadn't had in years. Connect with cousins on deeper levels. Speak with my parents more fluidly. If I didn't do that journey and realize where I was wasting time, I wouldn't have been able to have done any of that and have that ability to just connect with more people. So just ask yourself, if I did an audit today, how would my life look tomorrow? What decisions and time in my life am I making that isn't worthwhile for me to achieve the successes and the dreams that I have in my career, but also the dreams and successes and the things I want to do personally? And I think a lot of that, of this whole hustle culture, is that when you're surrounded by your peers and you're on social media and you're just looking for it all, and you're looking at all the things of everyone posting all their wins, it's very, very easy to assume that everyone is ahead and everyone is more polished than you. And that perception makes it harder to catch up, makes the grind tougher. I used to double down on visible proof, getting the perfect social media photo, having a tidy CV, having the perfect grades. I remember distinctively at one point, and my law lecturer during my A levels was like, "You are honestly taking the piss." I was pissed off that I was 10 marks away from an A star in law. I was getting A stars consistently, and I was just pissed off that I didn't get an A star in law. And she was like, someone would die to have your grades. Someone would die for that. And I didn't couple with the fact I got two A stars in politics and business. I completely forgot about them. I completely forgot that they even existed. I was so focused on that one because I was so bothered about the physical evidence, the physical proof of that I have to be the best, I have to be number one. But chasing those wins clearly left me exhausted because I went into first year and I had no energy for my career. I didn't know where I wanted to be. I didn't know what I wanted to be doing. And often I felt so lonely because of that. I didn't have a connection. I didn't have an identity because I was invested in an image rather than a meaningful progress, rather than a meaningful person. In law school, I was just chasing every ounce in that first year because I thought, you know what, accumulation equaled security. So I was signing up for things and putting my all into my readings when I didn't need to because I felt that comfortably I could sustain that. But that chase did give me a momentum and it did open a couple of doors, but it didn't leverage anything. It didn't do anything. It didn't do anything for me because I didn't have an identity. But it wasn't until I found that identity within myself by having messy notes, by showing the failures, by doing half-baked attempts, was the response to creating real and connection. It was the ability to just be like checking in with my friends instead of just comparing where I was in social standings, asking them how did their week actually go? Are they actually coping? Sharing my mistakes with my friends made me so much more human. And it allowed me to treat visibility as leverage as well. Because if people knew what I was doing and the lessons that I had experienced, they'd invite me to more conversations along the way. I became deeply connected with people. I developed a sense of encouragement within myself that I can do this too and that I deserve to be here too. Because I don't have it all together. I simply don't. I make so many trade-offs throughout my life to just get it slightly there. If I didn't do those trade-offs, I wouldn't be in the comfortable ability to connect with other people, to add, to do more things in other elements of my life, because I had to stop pretending that perfection was everything. If I just carried on being perfect all the time, having the perfect image, the perfect standards, I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be in that position right now. So just think, if you took away the perfectionism, you stripped away the perfect image, you stripped away of the comparison to your friends, to your peers, to everyone that is achieving everything, and you just took a moment to look at yourself and understand that you don't need it all together all the time, and that you can just be free. You can be that free spirit, and then it falls into alignment, and then it all creeps in. And then you reach that point of alignment. It's because if you allow yourself to just be free and flawless and authentic, that's when alignment begins, not through your grades. But don't get me wrong, on that journey, there have been some mornings where it's motivation that has fired me up, where I've got to record a podcast episode and I've got to do a few more readings and I need to, go to the gym and I need to clean my bedroom and I do need to do my laundry. There have been times where it's motivation that has gotten me up out of the bed to get those shit done. It's the times where I've been able to just ride that wave for hours. But I also realized is that me doing that, my motivation was fading quickly. That's why I had to design systems, recurring blocks when I'm gonna do those readings to take that stress away, recurring times when I'm gonna record a podcast, where I'm gonna do my laundry and I'm gonna do my ironing and I'm gonna make my meals. Having that recurring time in my head and going to the gym every single day led to habit stacking, led to me creating a life of routine and structure and discipline. I wouldn't be able to do the things that I do when I want to do them, how I want to do them, and where. I wouldn't have the ability to have that flexibility in the evenings where I can give myself that leeway to do something for myself. Whether that be go to Central and just walk around, especially at Christmas time. Whether that be to go on a little shopping spree. Whether that be to go to the cinema or to the West End and watch a film. I wouldn't be able to have that ability to do those things if I didn't habit stack, if I didn't have discipline. Because when discipline stacks, discipline is everything. Because motivation isn't enough. It's the discipline that keeps the lights on, showing up when the energy is low. That is where real results come from. But I think it's important that the misconception of discipline is eroded. It's not about being cruel to yourself. It's about giving yourself the architecture to live freely within your limits. I find comfort in my routines. I'm happy when I'm in a routine. When I'm outside of my routine, I am neurologically just like crazed. I'm crazy. I'm like, I do not know what to do. I don't know how to live. Because having a routine actually lowers my decision fatigue. I have more mental energy to give to friendships, to give to relationships, to give to family connections. I have that energy now because I'm not making big ass decisions in the morning that are going to be soul destroying for the next evening. I have that structure that I know when I'm going to do a thing and I'm going to get it done because I have that mindset. And there are days where I can resent the routine because I don't have enough energy. But I accept it without guilt and I get the fuck on. I get to work and I do it. So if you're in a position where you kind of resent your life, I think the easiest, simple thing that you can do is get a routine and be disciplined. Habit stack. Get a routine and build it up intricately, step by step. Do something. Wake up earlier, couple it with another thing, and build upon that day upon day, week upon week. I wouldn't have this routine right now if I hadn't have done that. Everything in my routine is based upon that. Every habit I have done has been stacked with another thing. Whether that be getting out of bed, getting into my gym clothes, getting to breakfast, going to the toilet, going to the gym, coming back from the gym, having a shower, doing my skincare, getting on with my day. That routine wouldn't have happened had I not habit stacked. Because talking about that discipline and treating it as a self-care thing allows me to reframe it from punishment to protection and allows me to defend my future well-being and my future health as well. Allow me to stay in grit mode and allow me to do the things for my journey and my career, all coupled with every single other element of my life. So just take a moment. What's one thing I can stack to my morning routine or change that will allow me to progress in the future and build a structure that allows me to achieve and do so much more than I'm doing now? But don't get me wrong, there is a cost to the success. On weeks where I've had back-to-back deadlines, I've had to still go to work and I've had a couple of law events here and there, I've had applications, I've had to drop some of the tasks, I've had to drop a couple of applications, but also lean into the things that actually move the needle. I've had to miss family dinners. I've had to miss nights out because I chose to prepare for the next day. Because I chose to finish an assignment that could change my academic career. Because I chose to apply for something that actually might lead to something in the future. Because the uncomfortable truth is I make these sacrifices. I've sacrificed evenings and even sometimes sleep just to meet the standards that I want for the future. Because I view these investments as compound interest, is that it's a trade-off. If I take this opportunity, I say no to this other thing, and I calculate which choice is going to serve me for the long-term goal, which choice is going to compound into something greater, is going to lead to a bigger amount. Because that calculus has allowed me to go to networking events, has allowed me to apply for different things, has allowed me to get a mentorship role with my legal law society, has allowed me to still do all that coupled with a job and a law degree. Because momentum wouldn't exist if I had stayed comfortable. But don't get me wrong, there have been moments where it can be negative. Friendships have kind of been damaged because of that. I've had sort of like health wobbles where I've kind of been under the weather at times. I have had a sense of like I've lost a sense of joy where at times in the evening I'm like, why am I doing this? What is the point? But I've had to renegotiate that boundary for myself and let my friends know that I'm still present, I'm still here. And if I'm absent, there's a reason for it. I've had to relieve myself of that anxiety. I've had to take back my control. And I've had to do it for me. To be able to couple that and negate those things and do something that just fulfills me allows me to retake back that joy. Because sometimes the cost of whatever that goal is a trade off. And sometimes I do have to make a trade off in my academic life, in my career life, for the joy of my normal and personal life. And learning to say no is everything. Learning to say no has become a part of that, has become a survival skill because it protects my energy and allows people to respect me and allows people to understand that I'm doing this for a reason. Because the healthiest wins that come from that are where the achievements didn't bankrupt who I am. They didn't bankrupt my inner life or my relationships. They created so much more potential from that. It led to honesty. It led to creativity. It led to even content creation to begin with. So just think, if you said no tomorrow, or you said no to this event, what are you trading it off for? And is it giving you joy doing that? And if it isn't, go to it. But if it is, don't do it and say no. And I think in this journey as well, a lot of it is focused upon the future. It's on what we're doing now at uni, especially, is for where you want to see yourself in your future, where you want to be in 10 years, 15 years' time. And don't get me wrong, this whole hustle culture has built me credibility because consistent effort produces outcomes that can be good on a CV. That I can do all these different things and multitask with all these different tasks, and I'm fine and I'm set and everything's maintained. And it can allow you to open doors. And I've trained myself to be comfortable with the discomfort of having to encroach onto an evening and stay up until like 10 p.m. doing um, personal things, doing things that are within me, because I've had to spend the rest of my time of that day doing my academics. Having those difficult feedback loops, having that ability to become vulnerable in content creation, because hustle is a muscle. The more you practice productive discomfort, the more resilient you become when the stakes are highest they've ever been. I schedule those deep work blocks during the day to allow me to try and just stay awake in the evening to do more things for myself. But if I can't, that's okay. And my time is flexible. And I protect that time. I protect that ability because I know what I'm hustling for. And I know that that time for myself will come back in a future week. Because a real success is one that fits the contours of every aspect of your life. The family, the friends, the joy, the meaning, the career, rather than just a hollow trophy on a shelf. Something that you're just maintaining for the sake of maintaining. And I think it's coupled with the realization of doing that audit that I mentioned earlier. Are the people in your life actually adding value? Because don't get me wrong, there's been times in my life where there's people in my life that aren't. And a lot of the friendships that you have in the early 20s, late teens are because you've known each other since high school. But if you change that and you were like, you realize that that friendship isn't serving you, that friendship isn't adding you, allow that choice to be okay, to just take a step away. Because it allows you to sleep at night and it allows you to be more present with the people that you actually love and value and the people that you want to spend time with. Because the ideal outcome is that that progress and that levitating principle creates internal and external growth that elevates your life, your career, and can uplift others as well. Because when you are positive, everybody feeds off that positive energy too. It's not just me, it's not just you, everyone around us gets that aura. And if you can be positive, positive people come to you too. Having those successes in your personal and your career life is visible progress because it's that progress that fuels further discipline and further momentum for the future. And I think as well, to kind of like sort of close off, if you want to win in a competitive world, you have to be disciplined, you have to be consistent, and you have to grind on the things that matter to you. Your skills, your network, your projects, but also your personal life. your inner life, the people that give you happiness, the people that you want to spend your time with. Because you can keep grinding on those things, but you have to remember that winning is only worthwhile if you are still yourself at the finish line, that you are still protecting your inner child, that you are still doing the things that give you hope and dreams and happiness. So I just want to end this episode by saying if you felt like that you resonated with any part of it, please make sure to just like, share, and subscribe. It supports every work and everything that I am doing right now, and it allows me to keep bringing these honest and raw conversations to you. But above all, remember, invest in yourself. Have that hustle, but also have that compassion that it's okay to take that break. It's okay to take that moment, but have that ability to comprehend and remember that you all have the same 24 hours in a day. And what you're doing with those 24 hours is how you can create lasting achievement, how you can captivate and control every element of your life that you feel whole and fulfilled. Because making an investment in yourself and making an investment in your future is everything. So thank you for listening. And I hope that every single lesson that you were able to gain from this week's episode is pivotal to your journey wherever you are in life and whatever age you're at. So please remember, invest within yourself.